Hey everybody, welcome to Homies and Houses. Today we're gonna do a little run through of updates from my side and also from Alana's side, and then we're gonna go over fear of failure because that is a super common thing that first time or new investors um, get the fear of. And so we're gonna talk a little bit about that and how to get over it. And yeah, Alana, you want to go first with your updates and we'll go from
Yeah,
there.
real quick. So I have an offer accepted on my house, which is so great. Um, finally, because I put it on the market June 3rd. It took like 54 days or something. I don't know. But finally got an offer, and it is pretty much, we went back and forth. He tried to lowball me pretty good. I'm like, I've already dropped the price like 20,000 over the last couple months.
Yeah.
So I'm ending up getting like what I want. I should profit 34,000 on my side. So that is exciting, especially since I just left my job. And then I have a signed lease in the triplex I bought in November. Signed lease, even though that tenant's not gone until September 1st. And so it was a referral from him for her. And so she already signed it. Like, super excited about that. He was a really good tenant. So, like, one of his friends, I feel more confident in having like that referral. Um, and then I just still have one vacancy, but I am being kind of picky about it too because it's just cash flow I'm missing, which is important right now, but at least the bills are paid. So I'm being picky to try to get the right tenant there. And the flip is going on the market today. So lots of exciting
Okay.
stuff. What about you? Do you have your vacancy
I
filled?
Yeah, I now have no vacancies, which is really exciting. Um, yeah, the past couple months, like I one of my units was vacant for a while, and then I finally got a signed lease, and then my other side said that they were leaving or like moving out at the end of their lease, which is the end of July. But I have a signed lease for the start of August in like 2 weeks. And I guess the middle of August, for that side. So now both sides are full, which is, or
Yay!
will be full on August 18th. Yeah, which is really exciting.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's been such a challenge this year. But then
Yeah.
you're gonna have years that like aren't challenging. You probably won't hear much from either side. Like everything will go smoothly. So it's interesting you had such a challenging year early on, like year two,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Um, yeah, but it wasn't catastrophic. So which can lead us into our fear of failure. So, actually, this was one of my fears was like having vacancies for long periods of time. And I did have that, but I got through it, and now both sides are going to be full with tenants who like have really good rental records, have good stable jobs, have good rental history, like all of that. And so hopefully like that bit will um make up for the fact for the few months that I didn't have any rental income coming in from that side and for yeah, the yeah.
What did you
Um
tell yourself to like keep yourself calm during the vacancies? Like, what was your internal dialogue about like fear of failure, like I'm gonna fail, or like was it more positive, or like how did you deal with that?
um it was kind of back and forth. It was like, well, like it's unfortunate, but luckily like I can afford to pay off my mortgage regardless. And then also like I could always sell the house if it got like to a point where I didn't want to keep paying the mortgage and I still didn't have tenants. I kind of like um had a plan that like if I still had one side vacant by December, I would kind of like look into maybe selling. Because if I had had vacancy for a year plus, like that just would not be sustainable. And yeah, but I kind of used like the discomfort to fuel me. So like I started going on Facebook and posting more about it on Facebook, and I had weekly check-ins with my property manager being like, what's going on? Like, have we had any applicants? What are you doing to kind of try and get applicants? It was so I think a lot of people take a step back and let property managers do their thing. But sometimes I think a little bit more pressure is needed. And also, um, maybe it wasn't needed and maybe she would have taken care of it and it would have been fine. Um, but I feel like that, like being a little bit more pushy and pressing on her, like made me feel a little bit better about the situation because it felt like I was doing something. So I think like if you turn fear into action, like that helps a lot.
Yeah.
Which is kind of one of the things we had talked about, like one of the main points, like turning fear into action will give you more confidence in what you're doing and things like that. But
Yeah. I find people always like would say stuff like that, like, how are you, I don't know if they always use the word confident, but like essentially, how are you confident enough to
yeah,
just like that is one of the main questions. Like, how did you start this? Like, why? Like,
yeah,
how did you? Yeah, like basically have the confidence in yourself or in your business. Like, are you delusional? Like, how did you just start doing this? And like I think what a lot of people have to understand, like we kind of talked about offline, is a lot of the times confidence comes after you take action. You're scared, you take the action anyway, and that turns into confidence. If you, I don't think anybody really starts with a lot of confidence unless, even if they have a lot of money to start, that doesn't necessarily mean they can have a lot of confidence or that they do.
yeah,
But I started with like nothing. Like I didn't have like money saved up and just kind of like I'm trying to remember. I had a 3% down payment because I house hacked. And so that made it a little easier to get started.
mm,
But that action eventually just turned into me being more confident because it was never catastrophic, kind of like you just said. Your period of vacancy, like it wasn't catastrophic.
yeah,
So yeah. And I think
and
also your point about, because I think this might be important about possibly selling in like December, like you kind of had that plan in your head. First point to that, I think it's good to have a plan. Like I like to think of what is the worst thing that could happen, not just in real estate, but in like any aspect of a relationship or a different job or a friendship. It's like taking yourself down the rabbit hole of like, okay, well, what if the worst thing does happen? Like, what if I do have these properties and then I get fired? Like, okay, well, what's the worst thing that can happen? Okay, well, I can go get another job. Or like just taking yourself down the rabbit hole and being like, there's always a way to fix it.
yeah,
Or I could sell, like you said, you could sell the house. Like,
mm,
what's the worst thing that could happen? You could rent out, well, like for other people that just own a house, they're like, well, what if I buy this house and then I don't want it? Well, you could rent it out. You could Airbnb
yeah,
it. You could sell it and take
yeah,
yourself down the rabbit hole until you don't feel that failure, like that fear of failure so much.
yeah,
I think that's important. It sounds like that's kind of like what you
yeah.
did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, and another thing, like, and I'll reiterate, is just using the fear to fuel you. Like before I even bought my house, I was terrified. Like I was 24, and I was like, what? Like I still feel like a child. Like how are people letting me buy a house? All this, but I used that fear of not being like able to, yeah, not being competent enough to do more research, to ask as many questions as possible. Because although, like, sometimes, like, my realtor was awesome, she was great. So I had so many questions. And I think that's also, like, going back to our, when we interviewed a realtor, it's so important to have a realtor that you trust and that you can communicate with because I asked my realtor so many questions and I think that's a really good way to get not maybe not get over the fear but kind of like mitigate it a little bit is to ask to try and be as educated as possible but don't let the need to be educated stop you from taking action. So, and you can take action by running numbers, by asking questions, by calling lenders, by just getting as much information as possible so that you may not be necessarily confident, but you are educated and have a better idea of what you're doing. And then with the whole property management side, like I didn't have a property manager when I first started, when I first bought my house. But before I tried to contact, I had a few friends that had connections to property managers. So I had a call with one of them where I asked even more questions so that I could, like, I had like a whole note in my phone of questions and answers of like, what happens if this happens? And what do I do if this? And how do I formulate a lease? And what should I look for in tenants and all these things? Because that made the actions a lot easier because I kind of had an idea of what to do and kind of had some yeah, guidance. Um, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I love that. I feel like that's what makes me a good realtor off the bat is like it's like I have done this like 13 times.
yeah, yeah,
Like I promise it'll be okay. And what I like to tell people too is like if you really have a bad feeling about it, also trust your intuition.
yeah,
I mean, you don't have to just be like listen to that intuition too, especially if it's a house they're gonna like live in or house hack, like
yeah,
just listen to your intuition, but don't let that intuition you're listening to just be the voice of fear.
yeah.
Um, and I
That's
think
on the
having like, sorry, go ahead.
the no, that's a big thing too, is like the difference between your inner voice being fear and anxiety and then being your actual inner voice. I think it's kind of hard sometimes when you're fearful to tell the difference between your inner voice and your intuition. I have a hard time with that. Um, so yeah, but just being aware of that, that sometimes your inner voice is just anxiety. Uh,
Yeah. And then there's the like aspect of something that really helps me too with that, like the inner voice is okay, so I thought in like other parts of my life, like I said, a job or relationship or whatever. How would I feel? Like I ask myself, so if you like, how would I feel if I woke up in 10 years and nothing changed and I didn't do anything to change my situation?
yeah.
So like if you are someone, because we actually get quite a few messages on Instagram about like, I'm about to do my first house hack. I hate my job. I want to leave my job. I wish I was where you are. And it's like, well, 5 years ago, like this, like I'm just glad I took action 5 years ago so that today, no, yesterday was my first day without my corporate job, like my first official day. And so I like say to myself, like, I am so happy I took that action. It's the same thing in a relationship. Like, I was like, if I've been in a long term relationship before, I've asked myself, like, how would I feel if I don't do anything to change this, or like I don't leave, or whatever the thing is, and I wake up in 10 years and nothing's changed, and now I'm
Yeah.
like in my 40s and like nothing has changed. Like, you just
Mhm.
have to ask yourself, like, what are you more scared of? Are you more scared of things staying the same or failing? Because
Yeah.
I was more scared of things staying the same. And I think that at first sometimes it's failing, but like I don't know, the more you like really think about it or experience like I hate this job, I hate this job, I hate this job. Okay, I started to get more scared of things just staying that way rather than like why don't I take a risk and see if I can figure this thing out.
Yeah.
Um so I think having like that inner monologue like be really I don't know, it's a mindset shift that
Mhm.
is like a daily thing.
Yeah.
Some days easier than others.
Yeah.
Um, is really, really important.
And reminding yourself why you're doing it too. That like that kind of plays into why are you doing like if you're just doing if you're just interested in getting into real estate just because you're interested in getting into real estate, I don't think you're going to have as much of a kick into it, but if you're doing it because you want to leave your job, you don't want to be tied to a 9 to 5 or you want financial freedom, you want to be able to like make decisions based off of what you want and not because of how much money you're going to make or how much money it costs or things like that. Like use that to fuel you to get over the fear. Um,
Right. Like I promise everybody there's more to life than paying bills and dying. Like it's just taking that risk. And then something that we've talked about before too is I know I remember in I don't remember which episode it was, but you talked about how like you kind of got especially probably because you were 24. So I was 28 when I started. So you started like younger than me. Like a lot of people were like, "Oh, that's scary. Like don't do that." Do you feel
yeah.
like your fear of failure like when you had it, or I mean, I'm sure you still have it sometimes, but is like
Yeah.
not hearing "I told you so" or like financial? Like
I
what
think
is
it's a
like
mix of
down
both,
the
for
road?
sure. Um, it's funny also because I have family members that have mixed, like, uh, they have their opinions, but a lot of the time it's mixed. So they'll be like, "Oh, but that, yeah, that's scary and all this, and but do you really want to own the house and the burden of that and all this?" But then they'll also say things like, "But you're so young. Take risks now while you don't have any responsibility, while you don't have kids, and while you don't have like a family to support, or like you're not 40 trying to start saving for retirement. Like take the risks now while you're in your 20s." And because most of the things you or not most of there's a lot of things in your 20s that you can do that are kind of reversible, especially financially. Like if you buy a house now and it ends up being the worst decision ever, by 40, honestly, you probably won't even like you'll remember it because hopefully you learned from it, but it's not going to impact you financially when you're 40 if you messed up when you're 20. Um, as long as you learn from your mistakes. But yeah, the fear and also financially, like for me, I'm really trying to retire, so I think about it and it's like, okay, but like what would make more sense if I invested in stocks or if I invest in real estate? And stocks is great because it's slow and steady and pretty predictable, and real estate is whatever you make of it. Um, which can be great and also can be not so great depending on like how much research you do, what area, things like that. But yeah, influence from family members and your social systems can definitely play a big part in fear, but I think it's just like sitting with yourself and journaling and doing the inner work to try and get over that and figure out what you really want. And trying to like take outside opinions with a grain of salt. Also, the opinions that were given to me are not from people necessarily that I want to be in the same financial situation as when I'm their age. So that also plays a part in it because it's like, well, you're giving me this advice, but why would I take advice from you if you're not where I want to be, you know? Um,
Exactly. I'm so happy you brought that up. That's such a good point. There's not a lot of people in my life that, outside of real estate investors, honestly, that are in
mhm.
a financial situation I want to be in. So I was like, okay, well, if I want to be there, I have to do that.
Yeah.
And I think my fear of failure now, 5 years in, at this very moment today, is probably higher than it's like ever been because I don't have the fallback of my W-2 now. But like you said
But
earlier,
you can
it
always
kind
go
of like
back.
lights a fire. What's that?
You can always go back.
Exactly. Can always go back. I'm like, I have 3 years experience in a car dealership, 4 years outside sales, 7.5 years of fundraising for a major nonprofit. That is like one of the most well respected nonprofits,
Yeah.
like with a really good track record. So I could always go back. The specific company like left the door open for me to always come back, first of all, which was really nice. But second of all, like just anywhere. Um, And I think it also lights a fire though, kind of like you talked about, like it's kind of fuel to me
Yeah.
that, okay, well now I have to succeed as a realtor. But I love it. Like I literally have like 4 or 5 deals going on right now, and it's to me, it's like so much fun. It's like, okay, this
That's
is what
awesome.
I'm meant to do.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, it's really scary. It's like, okay, well, what if I don't get any sales like that month or whatever? But just having this like belief in yourself that I took the action, now I'm gonna like have faith that I can do it because I believe in myself like Kanye West.
Yeah.
I saw that meme the other day and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not a Kanye West fan, but it was hilarious. I was like,
Yeah.
totally. Um, but yeah, I hope that was helpful for everybody. Do you have anything else?
Um, no, I don't think so. I just take action. Just keep doing things to like the more you take the action, the less fear you're gonna have because you're doing things, you know? Like if you never even call a lender, you never call a realtor, you never run any numbers, yeah, no wonder you're scared because you've never at least tried to get information or tried to make the next step forward. And the other thing I think is really helpful is write a list of things like of steps that you need to accomplish.
Yeah.
because at least then it's like tangible. It's not just like, oh my gosh, the whole world is on my shoulders with all these things I need to do. If you write like, you know, all the steps you need to take in order to get where you want to be, like that makes it a lot more palatable. Like it's a lot easier to follow that than just to look at it from like a there's a lot going on in your head. All these things need to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And like
take the action.
I was scared to go to BPCon. Like I wasn't scared to go, but I was scared to like spend the money to go last year. And then I met you and we started a podcast and
Hmm.
now I always have someone that understands. Like I don't know, like I just love that I can message you like anytime and like you get it and like I don't
Yeah.
know. And so yeah, like that was like really scary and it turned out to be like if nothing, I mean I got other stuff from it, but if nothing else, I got a friend who understands and
Yeah.
so but yeah, cool. Well, we will see everybody next time.